Fried fish sticks. Oh, so we got ourselves a lady who climbs the Statue of Liberty. She does it on 4th of July. This is gonna be a classic video. You guys, look, here goes a clip just in case you missed it. Is it just me, or does it look like she's not doing a whole lot of climbing? It's not a lot of climbing going on. Looks like a lot of sitting. Don't get me wrong, she got a lot further than I would have gotten. But then again, I wouldn't have went up there. Let the record show that she sat up there for about 4 hours before she allowed them to help her down. I'd like to know exactly what it was that inspired her to go up on the statue to begin with. Lucky for us, she held a press conference. Yeah.
Scaling the statue live on TV. That is Patricia Okumu, personal trainer, Staten Island resident, and apparently not very afraid of heights. Ms. Okumu told police that she was protesting the Trump administration's policy of separating migrant kids from their parents.
Hold on a second. Let me get this right. You climbed the Statue of Liberty to bring attention to an issue that has been on mainstream media for the last 3 weeks continuously. Every network, every affiliate, every channel's been talking about it. I thought you protest to bring attention to issues that no one's paying attention to. You know, like the baby starving to death in Yemen. Maybe a shooting in a small city that hasn't gotten national attention. But you climb the Statue of Liberty to remind us of a story that's been everywhere, even probably Nickelodeon's been covering it. And they don't even do the news.
A policy that has left nearly 3,000 children scared and alone in detention centers across the U.S. Ms. Okumu is herself an immigrant. She moved to the U.S. from the Democratic Republic of Congo in 1994 and is now a naturalized American citizen. Though this is Trump administration policy she's protesting, Ms. Okumu says that it was another former White House occupant who actually inspired her to take action.
Michelle Obama, our beloved First Lady that I care so much about, said, when they go low, we go high, and I went as high as I could.
Oh, I love that line. It's a beautiful line. But I liked it better when Michelle Obama did it.
When someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.
Yeah, you can't go biting people's lines, man. You sound like the Carlos Mencia of political protest. It makes me think that maybe this is a little bit disingenuous. Yeah, it gives me the feeling like maybe someone put you up to this. Somebody had to write that line for you. Use the Michelle Obama line. It'd be almost better if you went up there and you just didn't know what to say and you just was like, hey, I had to do it. I just did it.
And joining us now is Patricia Okumu in her first TV interview since her big climb.
Hey, I don't mean to be a killjoy, but doesn't she seem a little bit too happy about this? Okumu. Doesn't she seem a little bit too happy? Like, is that the face of someone who's really pissed off and is protesting something?
Since her big climb.
Or is that somebody who's like, I just hit the lottery. I'm a star now.
You since her big climb.
Look, I'm just saying, it just doesn't seem like the face of somebody who's really, brokenhearted about the children. Oh, God, the children. Seems like somebody who's like, hey, this is my big come up. I'm gonna do big things.
You were at the statue ostensibly to protest the administration policy, but what made you scale the statue?
Well, Rise and Resist had been planning this action as far as displaying a banner the way we did. Some people were wearing T-shirts that says abolish ICE. And I figured, okay, I've never been to the Statue of Liberty. I don't know. I would love to climb up there with the sign, the banner, but it wasn't something I was willing to discuss with the group because I didn't want to be discouraged.
You don't want them to stop you.
Yes.
So I like this part, okay? I like this part because what she's saying is that we didn't plan this. We didn't coordinate this dangerous activity. I did this on my own. They had nothing to do with it. In fact, they probably would have tried to stop me. So you got to give credit where it's due, and she's being honest, I hope, here about that. So that's great. Let's keep going.
So we'd already even issued a statement saying, oh, that has nothing to do with us. That's just some other person. And then once we realized it was Patricia, well, obviously the first thing was a concern about her safety.
Sure.
And concern that knowing that she was going to be engaging with law enforcement, she's a woman of color that was going to be engaging with law enforcement, so we were concerned about the possibility that she might be injured when she was brought down.
Yeah.
So we just immediately started trying to find legal assistance for her.
Yeah. Well, on that point, and of course, as a woman of color engaging with law enforcement, I'm glad you made that point because some of the criticisms, obviously, of you is that you endangered yourself, that it put police in danger. But also, as a woman of color, you were then creating an engagement with law enforcement that could have compounded tragedy upon tragedy. Well, how do you respond to those criticisms?
Miss Reid, I don't know if I should call you Joe or Miss Reid.
Yes, of course. You
I
call
like
me Joy.
Miss Reid. It's Joy.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about that. That wasn't the first thing in my mind. My concern was for the kids. Being in a cage, this is just cruel and inhumane. I couldn't live with that. I had to do something.
All right, so now, this gives me a little bit of trouble. Now it's got my spidey senses tingling more because, first of all, you're still a little bit too giddy.
Miss Reid, I don't know if I should call you Joe or Miss Reid.
Yes, of course. You
I
call
like
me Joy.
Miss Reid. It's Joy.
Yeah.
Still a little bit too jovial. This isn't the Ellen show. There's no free stuff under your seat, All right. The next thing is you're a black woman and you're not worried about the cops.
I wasn't worried about that. That wasn't the first thing in my mind. My concern was for the kids.
You said you aren't worried about the cops. He was worried for you about the cops because you're a black woman. And I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the whole country's been roasting people online who called the police on black people. And it looks like you kind of called them on yourself, and that's just not a good look. It's not good for our PR campaign. You're really not on message with the whole we want to avoid the police. And another thing that Joy Reid kind of glossed over. Yeah, what about the fact the cops could have died?
Because some of the criticisms, obviously, of you is that you endangered yourself, that it put police in danger. But also, as a woman of color, you were then creating an engagement with law enforcement that could have compounded tragedy upon tragedy.
Yeah, I get the fact that she doesn't care. Miss Okumu doesn't care if she fell to her death. But what about the guys who just want to get home to their families? Instead, they got to spend 4 hours on the hot-ass Statue of Liberty trying to get a woman down who went up there on her own. You went up there on your own, now we got to help get you down. If one of these police officers would have failed, Joy Reid, if one of these police officers would have failed, this would have been devastating, not only to their families, not only to their friends, but also to every other black person in New York the next couple of months, because the cops will be pissed off and they may retaliate and take it out on, folks walking down the street. I mean, I'm just saying, we're talking about New York City. NYPD has a reputation of cracking heads. So an unnecessary phone call to the police of a woman up on the Statue of Liberty who doesn't care about her own safety, and now she endangers others. And Joy Reid just skirts past her like, yeah, you know, some people are talking about the cops being, you know, not safe, but what about you? Your safety is important. Weren't you concerned? See, this is part of the thing where I've noticed that my African brothers and sisters don't see America the same way regular black descendants of slaves see America. We don't like dealing with cops. And we feel very anxious whenever we have to. But you heard Miss Okumu. She wasn't thinking about that. She was thinking about those kids.
I wasn't worried about that. That wasn't the first thing in my mind. My concern was for the kids.
Let's keep going. We're almost done, but let's go a little bit further.
Let's talk a little bit about, you know, how the Trump administration's policies have hit you as an immigrant. And we share something in common. I have Congolese roots. You are from the Republic of Congo. When you first started hearing the way that Donald Trump talks about immigrants, S-hole countries, in fact, referring to some African countries, the changes in migration policy, and now the detention of children, just tell me how that hit you as an immigrant.
Well, first of all, Donald J. Trump is a distractor in chief, and no way I'm going to focus my attention talking about his insult to immigrants. I think he's a dog whistler. He's trying to divide the country. We are a democracy. We stand for peace, and the Constitution protects everybody, including immigrants. There's a process, something called a due process, and he's ignorant, unfortunately. So I would not normalize his behavior. It's unprecedented.
You know, I understand people are concerned about the children at the border and the children that ICE separates as well from their parents. I get that part. I feel it too, because only like someone very like xenophobic or hate, you know, filled with hate would be uncaring at all, like heart full of stone about children not being able to be with their parents. I get that. But see, one of the things I think that's missing in this conversation is that America separates children from their parents all the time. That's really not a new thing. For instance, there's a study by the National Conference of State Legislatures. I'm gonna put the link in the description down below. This shows in 2007, the population of minor children of incarcerated parents consisted of approximately 484,100 white kids, 767,400 black kids, and 362,800 Hispanic kids. So America separates families all the time for stuff like, we're gonna lock you up because you had a little bit of weed and you can't post bail. Or you got a traffic violation, you couldn't pay the fine, now you gotta go to jail. This happens a lot. This happens a whole lot. Children are put into foster homes, they're put into detention centers, they're placed with a cousin. Like, this happens. This is America, that's what we do. And look, I'm not saying that Miss Okumu is wrong to feel compassionate about children. What I'm saying is, I care about those kids. Do the people protesting care about our kids? Like, I just read you 767,400 black kids separated from their parents at one time or another. You know the numbers only went up because Jeff Sessions is ranking up or cranking up the drug war, right? So what I'm saying is, I care about you, do you care about us? And see, a lot of people feel like nobody really cares about the over 700,000 black kids, the over 400, almost 500,000 white kids, the other 360,000 Hispanic kids. And that's why people are like, this is America. People go to jail all the time. They don't take kids with them. And once again, guys, please understand, I'm not saying, so what about the kids? I care about everybody's kids, man. I want everybody's kids to be okay. I want everybody's kids to be happy. I want parents to be united. Don't get me wrong, but when liberal media just focuses on this and focuses on it, and never introduces some of the other families that are missing their kids? Well, I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't exist, because I have real people who watch my shows and real people who call into my show, and I wouldn't be keeping it real if I didn't mention it. Joy Reid doesn't mention it. Rachel Maddow doesn't mention it. They'll cry, though, for these kids. Who's crying for the mother in, I don't know, Nashville, Tennessee, who's a U.S. citizen who, I don't know, couldn't pay they were driving on a suspended license. She goes to jail because she couldn't pay the fine, and now there's nowhere to put the kids. Like, who cries for her? Who marches for her? That's what I'm talking about. That's it. It's not just that people are like, I don't care about kids. Who cares about these kids? Now, there's some people like that. Those people, they're called bigots. Okay, so let me try to wrap this up. I'm torn, guys. I'm torn because part of me does feel like she really was sincere. I mean, she went up there on a statue without a net, without a rope. I mean, that's commitment. She could have died. So to say she doesn't care, I don't know about that. I gotta say she cares. I think it was dumb to do because, yeah, some people could have died, including her, but also those officers could have died. And, somebody had to go up there and get you, right? Somebody had to go up there and get you. And I don't think the Africans, the folks in the Congo, the Republic of Congo, are going to come get you. Oh, no, I'm not coming up there. No, Patricia, get down. Get your ass down right now. I'm not coming up there. You come down. What are you doing up there? Africans didn't come to America to get us, and we were stolen. Right? We were taken. So, but yeah, this is a tough one. I think that I don't like to tell people how to protest. I feel better if this was a protest about something we didn't know that was already going on, if you were bringing attention to a new issue. But hey, that's just me. That's just how I see it. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Subscribe to this channel.